Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to dive into a powerful and easy to use backup and recovery tool called MiniTool ShadowMaker. See it as your digital superhero, always there to save your data when things go wrong. Anyway, let's get started before your computer or even myself has another one of those oops moments, which, let's be honest, for me happens quite regularly. So let's take a look at the MiniTool partition wizard. Now, full disclaimer, I was sent a free license code for this just for producing this video. However, MiniTool will not have any creative input on this video whatsoever. They will not get to see this review prior to me releasing it, and no money has changed hands. The only thing that's been provided to me is a Pro Ultimate lifetime key, but it's only linked to this one machine. So if I decide to burn this one to the ground, hopefully I've got that backup. I won't be able to reuse it. Anyway, you can do all of this using the free. Obviously with free there's going to be some restrictions, it's just something to be aware of, but to just get you going and tripping through that kind of understanding how it works, the free version will get you 90% of the way there just to take a quick snapshot of it. Anyway, so a couple of things I liked off the bat with this. Now, I'll be honest, the first time I used this, I did struggle a little bit, had a few challenges where I couldn't understand how to get stuff backed up to shares. I'll get onto that in a moment. But reality-wise, the thing that pleased me the most, and whether this was linked to the theme, it came in dark mode, which is amazing. I hate applications that force you down that complete retina burning white mode. It's not ideal. I do tend to prefer these clear aesthetics of having darker type of themes, which is really useful. The good thing is you can kind of see from this nice little home dashboard, I've got access to all the information I want fairly upfront. So I can see that I've got disk 1, disk 2. The disk 2 is just an external disk, just so I can kind of show you how it works. I can see my last backups, I can see my next backups if I'd got schedules, and you can see whatever backups I've got. So I've got the option of restoring a drive backup or a file backup that I made earlier. Anyway, also on the front here, I've got the backup. Now, when it comes to backups, I can name the task. So I've got that ability to go in there and name it. And then I can start with the source and destination. And it makes it really simple. So all I'm going to do is click on disks and partitions. Now, what I could do if I wanted to do a full disk or partition backup, this would be the place to go and do it. I'd be able to go in here and select them. Now, obviously, knowing what I know about Windows, it's pretty obvious that you're going to want to make sure that you've got the main ones in here. I would suggest that you can select all of them and it will be able to do the backup. Just be aware that it is using then the system, so you won't be able to do anything else while that's going on. However, it's probably a good idea to just schedule them. If it's running in the background, it's not going to do you any harm. But I'm not going to do that in here, because what I don't want to do is take half an hour to do a backup in this video. So what I will do is I'll just back up a file. Let's go into libraries and we'll pick on videos. I've recorded quite a few videos just doing the takes of these, so they'll probably be quite interesting. I can click on OK and you can see in here it says I've got 380 bytes. I'm sure it's a bit more than that. I think it's probably because it's looking at users public, not as me. So let's actually go back in and deliberately select the one I'm looking for. Yes, that's the one we want. So let's click on that one. And there we are, 1.2 gigs. That's more like it. Destination folder. So you can see I've got a D backup data, which is that local drive. I don't want to use that as a local drive. What I want to be able to do is use a shared drive. So what I can do is I can come in here and basically drop in a shared drive. If I click add, it will ask me for the path and it will ask me for the username, etc. I'm not going to use that right now, but again, all you do in here, if you've got an SMB share, all you need to do is basically drop those in there. What you won't be able to do is map a network drive and just do it that way, which is a shame because that would be nice and simple, but it does follow the same process. You just need to go in here and add that. Absolutely fine. What I will do though is I'll just back it up locally for now, just so that I've got it to hand. It's nice and simple. And then all I need to do is click backup now and it will just say, yeah, you want to do this. Now it might have a few challenges doing some of this because obviously I'm writing to this particular folder now, but what it should do is just skip by that. It does seem quite quick from what I've seen. it does that kind of different levels. Now you can compress stuff as well, so there are some additional options, which I'll show you in a second, but it will just run through that simple backup process and deliver everything we're looking for. That is really simple and intuitive. Don't get me wrong, there's probably some more advanced features that you will find on a lot more expensive enterprise grade backup solutions, but for a general home user, this is absolutely good enough for what you're looking for. So that's now completed. So we'll now have that backup. What you can see is I can go and do a verify. So if I want to verify it, I can verify it. You can see I can create a schedule. I can also mount it, which is really useful. So what that will do is just basically create a drive that just has that particular section in there. So if I just wanted to go on and grab it and copy it somewhere else, that's a really nice way to do it. But verifying is always a good idea. When you go through the actual original backup scenario, what you can do is, let's just go into here. Instead of clicking backup now, what I can do is click on options, and then I've got these different levels. So I can add in compression. So I've got those different compression levels, so I can compress it down to medium. I can also set up a backup scheme, so I can add differences between full, incremental, differential, and then drop in schedules as well. So I've got quite a few different little settings I can turn on and off. So all I need to do at the bottom there is switch that button, and then I can basically set up different things. Now that's going to be really useful if you're doing that regular backup. For full descriptions, the difference between all of those, they will be in the description if you need them, but they are quite straightforward once you get your head around them. Sync. Now this is a really, really useful feature. So you think of my particular use case where I'm saying I'm recording a lot of videos and I don't necessarily want to set up a backup, but actually it'd be really nice to have a full sync that goes between my NAS and the local storage on here where I'm doing all my live video editing, but maybe I want it to sync on a schedule. So pretty much every evening it will basically grab those and then sync them up to that NAS. So this is what I would absolutely use this for. So again, I can just use the same kind of process. I could go in and select the one I'm looking for and build that sync out, which is, again, great from that respect. Now when it comes to restore, as someone did earlier, so I could absolutely just click a restore on one of these. I'll pick on one that I did on the public area, but basically I can restore it to that particular point in time. I can set where it's going, click on next, set my target, and then drop it in where it needs to go. So this one will be libraries, it will be there because it's the public version. And I will just start, and that will just do a restore. Now that should be quite quick. It's completed successfully, absolutely fine. But you will see I do have the option also to shut down the computer when the operation is completed. So it's just something to be aware of that you can do. Manage, you've seen this before, so you can see all these backups. What I do have is the ability to just restore to some of these. I can delete them, I can browse them. Like I said, I can mount those. I can just actually go and locate the image, which is again quite useful. Really simple and really intuitive interface, really. We've got the logs, so I can kind of see what happened. The one that failed earlier was just one I kept deliberately failing. It's when I come to try to do that mounting a file share and then backing up that way. It didn't work for that reason, so you just have to create the shared drive to do it slightly separate. And then finally we've got the tools. Now the tools are quite useful. So there's a couple of things in here that remind me back in my days of doing kind of backup and restore at enterprise level. So I've got a media builder which I can go off and use and build my WinP based media for MiniTool plugin. So that gives me the idea to, one, if my hardware is not necessarily compatible, I can go and build it that way. We'll just cut out that. I can add a boot menu. So if I wanted to do that, it basically gives me a startup menu option for the MiniTool recovery environment. So say we had an awful disaster recovery state, it gives me the ability to be able to kind of get in, not using the media builder, but basically just having that boot menu at the front. Obviously, if somebody did destroy my master boot record and that kind of boot partition, then that's a little bit of a problem. So that's just something to be aware of. But you've got the option to add it there, which is quite useful if you just want to do a recover to a certain point in time. Clone disk. Now this is really, really useful if you think of the scenarios where I've done videos on the Legion Go, the ROG Ally, the Steam Deck, those kind of things. When you go to take a drive and you're going to copy it from one to the other. So let's say, for example, I wanted to upgrade the drive that was in my system that had everything on it. So let's say I put a 4 terabyte NVMe in here. What I could do is take a copy of this one and basically clone it to a larger drive. Obviously, I can't clone it to a smaller drive, but it's just something that I can do, which again is quite useful. I can even give it the same disk ID, and then I've got the different versions of whether it's a sector clone, so that's just a U sector, or a sector by sector, which is definitely going to take longer, but you're going to guarantee an exact like for like in that scenario. So there's a couple of options in there. Again, really, really useful to have, particularly if you're just doing upgrades. Pixie, if you're not aware of that, it means that you've got the option to Pixie boot in. So what I can do is some systems will support this. If yours doesn't, you'll have to just consult your BIOS manufacturer or your motherboard manufacturer. That will be able to go off and do that and grab all those in. You've also got a remote feature. So the remote feature basically gives me the option to remote manage another machine. So if I've got another machine that I've got access to, I can go and connect, just stick in the IP in there and do that. Again, that will depend on the license that you bought. So just something to keep in mind. And the final one, which I'll just cover off when ShadowMaker loads back up for me, is the system booster. Now, I'm not personally going to use this. I'm not a big fan of system boosters, to be totally honest, but it is there. So if you want to try it, absolutely fine. I'm not going to recommend that necessarily myself. There are better ways to clean junk, but if you're not very technical, it might be a nice, simple way to be able to do that. But yeah, not necessarily I would necessarily recommend. And then you do have the nice, simple feedback kind of route, which is quite useful. Something just to bear in mind when we come back to MiniTool is we'll actually go and have a look at the pricing for this. So if I go into ShadowMaker, and we can kind of see the prices. Now, these are based on US dollars, so you'll have to do your own natural conversions yourself. But if we took mine, for example, it's a perpetual license, so it doesn't end. It's a lifetime free upgrade. And that's a one-time fee of $79. So if you think of it from that perspective, it does give you that option for free PCs as well. So you can put this on free PCs for that price and have that backup functionality across all your Windows devices and kind of just feel rest assured that that's just going to do the job for you. There are other versions, so you can do a simple one, which is a single license, which you can break it out monthly. That's up to you if you do it. I'll be honest, I kind of jumped from doing that to that, or the monthly subscription there. There's different ways you can kind of look at it, but obviously they've got a sale going on at the moment. They generally will run quite a lot of sales, so it's worth keeping an eye on it. But you can kind of go through there, and if you've got any questions about the kind of sales, FAQs, it all sits in this area here, which is really, really nice to just go and grab at any point. They do have business opportunities as well, so they do have a business standard and a business deluxe. I would probably say, and this would be also my feedback to MiniTool, that's a really hard market to break into, because when you start to go into business, this would be more of a kind of SME, I would imagine. When you're starting to look at more of the larger enterprise, they're going to be looking at stuff like Veeam and various other technologies rather than necessarily the MiniTool. But if you're running a small business like myself, then this might be a really good, kind of backup solution for you. Anyway, that's covered off the product itself. And that's a wrap for our quick, semi-quick dive into MiniTool ShadowMaker. Whether you need to back up your files, clean your drive, or even restore your system, this tool has got your back. Like that one friend who always shows up when you need them. So, on conclusion, if you found this demo helpful, give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, or if your computer just ate your homework, then drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips, tricks, and tech tutorials. And as always, I'll see you next time.